Howdy folks, I'm bumbling Beringian lemming, begrudgingly borrowing battered boots.
I'm Amber.
And here are more battered boots for us to borrow. Much like Reddit, they're old and shredded. Let's get started. Oh, and folks, before we get started, there's a live stream coming up on Friday. We hope to see you then. For more information, please see the end of the video. Let's get started. Alright folks, on our first letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Buying Land and Not Telling My Husband? I have been trying to buy land since my 13-year-old was a baby. Then we can either have a cool camping spot that's fully ours and don't have to share a big old campground, or eventually build a house on it. My husband has constantly told me that I'm unrealistic and dumb and that we would never be able to do it. Last year, I told my husband that I needed some money from our tax refund to pay for a hobby, but instead I bought 3 acres of land directly from someone. My aunt was the middleman because the land is by her, but she sent me everything and I signed everything and I sent it back, and then I sent her the check with the money. She mailed me the land rights, the mining, water, and residential rights. And the property tax is like $12. My cousin has been using it as a camping spot for now, so they've literally paid my property tax for me. All these years, he's told me that I was dumb for wanting this. We wouldn't be able to do it, and here I did it in a month, and now I own land. It was only $5,000. I said that it was for editing my book. Got one of my friends to better read it for me, and I told my husband that I got the edits back like 2 months later. Am I the jerk for doing this behind his back? I feel kind of bad, but I also just want to go, see, that wasn't that hard. You just make everything harder than it is. All right, folks, what do you think?
I think I'm going to go with everyone's in the wrong here. I mean, I think OP is the bigger jerk for going behind her husband's back in this, but she should have a way to attain her dream, whether that's by having separate finances or having some amount of fund money they can save every month. But my big issue with this is that, one, it's a major purchase. $5,000 is a lot of money to take from joint funds under dishonest means. And the other is that she's expecting them to jointly use this land without without consulting him about the location or anything like that. Like, she talks about potentially building a house there. And you can't expect your partner to just up and settle on some piece of land. It may not be very convenient to him.
Yeah. I mean, this is kind of my feeling on it as well. I think that while he is wrong for being negative about this and seemingly even restricting that she can buy land, she shouldn't have used deception to go behind his back and buy it. They should have had a sit down and conversation and said, look, there's this piece of land. It's being offered for $5,000. The property tax is $12. Here's all the paperwork. It's ready for us to sign. All we need to do is agree that we want to buy this piece of land, right? And then he could have been included in that decision, and there wouldn't have been this lie to go with it, right? And I mean, I think what OP was worried about is that he was going to say no, that it was going to be a blanket no statement. And the question is he saying no for the sake of saying no because his pride is hurt, or is he saying no because he thinks that he doesn't like the location or something else about the land, right?
Right. And I mean, that's why I think they need more conversations. And if he's, the type of person who just shuts it down because it's not what he wants, he could be that kind of person. Then again, I think OP does need to have some way that she can obtain the land if that's her dream, some kind of separate fund that she can use for it that he doesn't need to be involved in.
Yeah.
But I don't think that using joint funds under false pretenses to obtain the land, I don't think it's going to also go over the way she thinks it will. Like, when she tells him, she's like, she acts like she's just going to be like, oh, see, I got this for $5,000 and it was so easy. He's just going to be like, oh, well, yeah, you got me there. He's probably going to be furious that OP went behind his back and did this.
Well, she could always just say it's a present. I mean, how many stories have we read like that? I got you a present. I got us a present.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, I think in the end, they really should have had a conversation around this and decided what they wanted for land-wise. I think putting everything down in a organized way would have been really helpful and shown him that she was capable of getting this land and stuff like that. And I also want to know, some of my judgment here would depend on their financial situation, how much money they have, what kind of fund money structure they have. Like, is she expected not to get anything for herself or anything like that, right? Because if she never is able to buy anything for herself because joint funds or something, then that might be like a little more on the financial abuse side, you
Right.
know.
Which, I mean, I'm a little less inclined to think if he's willing to hand over
Mm-hmm.
$5,000
Exactly.
for editing a book.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
it sounds like he supports her hobbies. But it may be one of those situations where she can only buy what thinks is valuable, which is a problem, which is why you need some kind of fun money that you can do with as you wish.
Yeah. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. And Blue Green 1956 says, you're the jerk. So you lied to get what you wanted and used family money to do it. If he had lied to you and done something like this behind your back, he would have been bashed without mercy here. I'm willing to bet that you will get a number of you go girl type responses from the typical hypocritical Reddit brigade. But those are the ones that you're just looking for, so enjoy them. And question, can you explain why your husband should ever trust you again? And Opie replies, it's what we need, not just what I wanted. He's too much of a chicken to do anything, so I did it. Oh, this doesn't sound like a healthy relationship already.
No, it doesn't. But I also don't know why having this land is a need if they have a place to live currently.
And Blue Green 1956 says, which makes you a liar. And if you called me a chicken, I would throw your butt out on the street. And Opie replies, I mean, cool, but we wouldn't even have our apartment right now. And we would be living with one of our parents with 3 kids because he would never have gone to look at apartments. If I want anything, then I have to do it myself. Oh, this is just a mess. I mean, in some respects, it sounds like this is kind of their dynamic, and he may expect this at this point in time.
Yeah, I mean, this doesn't seem good. If he's also like, I think this just reinforces my everyone's in the wrong here. They maybe shouldn't even be married anymore if they have this much animosity toward each other and can't work together for the betterment of the family.
Well, and that she has to use these deceptive means to do it. I mean, he should just get out of her way if she's going to like unload all the responsibility of all this stuff on her, right? And it could be that he's not happy with all this stuff too, right? I mean, it just may be that, I mean, some people have more initiative and drive than other people. Some people are more cautious than other people. And like you have to have good communication skills to resolve those types of conflicts.
Mm-hmm.
All right, folks, and our next letter is titled, Am I a jerk for buying a car without letting my fiance know in advance? Throwaway account. I'm a 28-year-old male and I just bought a beautifully optioned BMW 2022 3 Series 330i. And I have always wanted a BMW ever since I drove one for the first time, but I could never afford one until now. I work as a surgical technologist and I spent my early 20s saving. I bought my first home 3 years ago, and I spent the past year working an extra shift every weekend just to save for a good down payment on this car. My fiance, a 25-year-old female, and I have been together for over 3 years. She and I have never really seen eye to eye on money. I'm a spender, and she's more of a saver. From my perspective, I'm saving 10% a year towards retirement. And I have a 3-month emergency fund, and after my bills, every single penny goes towards pleasure. I have nice clothes, cologne, watches, tech, etc. She is aggressively paying down her student debt and wants to save as much money as possible and live as frugally as she can. At the beginning of last year, I started speaking to her about buying a nice car that I've been dreaming about. She said that I should just upgrade my Toyota to a nicer one and I'll probably be happy with that. I disagreed, and after a bit of back and forth, I finally agreed to upgrade my 2019 Corolla to a 2023 Prius Prime. And it's been a great little car, but it's not a BMW. After a while, I brought up having a weekend car, and she was wishy-washy on the idea, but said that she wasn't opposed to the idea. Well, last week I had some downtime at work and I started looking at cars. I had 10 grand saved, and lo and behold, I found myself at the BMW dealer negotiating on the car that I currently have, and ended up paying 30 grand for, which I found reasonable. It drives beautifully and it's super duper comfy. I plan on keeping it as a weekend/road trip car. I have an appointment to have the paint treated and tints put on for that. I brought it home and she went non-linear. She called me wasteful and said that I didn't care about our future. I said that I've always wanted a car like this and I love it, and that I think that she's just not very supportive of me in this decision, and it's my money and I can afford the payment and the cost of the car. She said that we have a wedding to pay for and that she has loans and that she's upset that I'm frequently splurging and wasting on nice things while she's saving every penny that she can. I said that while I appreciate her mentality, my finances are in order and my only debt is this car, which I have been wanting. She's been pretty frosty despite my reassurances. This morning I offered her a ride to work, but she refused to ride in the BMW and insisted that I drive her in the Prius. I was so happy about this purchase, but now I feel upset about it. It's a great car, but I doubt that it's worth this drama, and honestly, I'm just kind of mad that she's ruining it for me. Am I the jerk? It's not as if we're doing poorly. Even with this payment, we have more than enough money to pay for everything that we need. And to add, we have a combined fund for the wedding that we're contributing to monthly to, and we're planning on getting married by the end of next year. All right, folks, what do you think of this one?
Yeah, I think Opie's a jerk. There's also some information missing from the comments. His comments got deleted, but basically it sounds like he expects her to contribute 50-50 to the wedding fund. And so it seems like she has a much lower income and she's barely scraping by while he's living lavishly. And I think that's a big issue. It doesn't seem like Opie has a couple's mentality. He has a what is mine and what is yours mentality. And that doesn't bode well for the marriage. And he's also not thinking about how this new collective debt affects their marriage, because he has like a 20 grand loan he's now bringing into the marriage on top of her debt. That he's going to, because as a married couple, you're both responsible for each other's debt.
Yeah, I mean, I think there are some nuances here, but I think that, I want to point out this first sentence before I get into it too much here. OP says that, lo and behold, I found myself at the BMW dealership negotiating on the car. I mean, you didn't just miraculously appear there
Oof.
during your lunch period, right?
Yeah, I just got you raptured up and dropped at the BMW dealership.
I think that OP was looking for an excuse to spend money, and they found it. And big purchases like this, when you're a couple, generally need to be discussed. And I mean, this is kind of similar to the last one where she went behind her husband's back and bought a piece of land. And while I think that one could argue that the land is probably more useful because they could actually build a house on it or even, use it as a campground or any other things. And it's also only $5,000 compared to 30 grand.
Right, this is only a weekend car. He has a functional vehicle.
So, I mean, but even with all that said, I still find her purchase of that wrong without consulting them, right? No matter what the usability is, right? And also, when you have massive amounts of debt, or she does, buying another car, adding to debt, just seems like a kind of, a poor idea, right?
Well, and it seems like OP is very narrowly focused on the here and now. Do they plan on having children? If they plan on having children, then he's going to have to drastically change his spending habits, or he's going to bury them in debt. It's not just about you at this point in time, OP. You have to think about this as a household. What is going to best affect your household in the long term?
Yeah, and I mean, again, I don't begrudge him spending money. I think if they wanted to spend money on an extra car, this should be something that they talk about. And for instance, have a fun money fund or any number of things that if he really wants to spend money on a car, that he can, but it comes out of his fun money. It comes out of the fun money account. That way there isn't any hard feelings or resentment about it if it's a fun car and not a family vehicle that's used on a daily day-to-day basis, right? And yeah, so I mean, certainly I think that there's a lot that he's doing here right. They've already bought a house. They've paid off their debt. They have 6 months of
3 months.
Oh, 3 months?
Yeah.
3 months of savings set aside. But I would like to point out that 3 months of savings, generally, the recommendation is about a year, and 6 months to a year. And since they're not at that point yet, I don't think that they are wise for making a luxury expense like this. So that's just kind of my view on it, just from a financial stability point of view. I also think that they should be working with their partner and helping them financially. Because at a certain point, when are you actually going to be a team and work together?
Right. And how are purchases going to work going forward?
Mm-hmm.
You know, again, like if you have kids, who is going to be funding the kids? Are you going to expect everything 50-50? Like, you have to look at income gaps and, you know, acknowledge that and not just expect your partner to, like, try and match, because it seems like he's living the lavish life and his partner can only afford to scrape by,
Yeah.
and he has no problem with that. And that seems like an unhealthy relationship to me.
Yeah. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. All right, folks, and our last letter is titled, Will I Be the Jerk If I Throw Away My Fiance's Dog's Scrotum? Words that I never thought I would be uttering. I'm a 22-year-old female, and my fiance, a 21-year-old male, has brought home random things from his job at an animal hospital in the past. I usually protest to them until I find a valid reason to get rid of them, and he does. For example, he accidentally brought home a tick once and said that he wanted to keep it as a pet since it likely didn't have any diseases until I pointed out how long ticks could live. We've been dating for 7 years and living together for 1. Recently, he brought home someone's dog scrotum that he was supposed to throw out. I think that it's gross, but he insists that it's interesting and a conversation starter and insists on keeping it. Supposedly, the dog's owner also doesn't care what happened to it, though I'm not sure how to fact check that. I'm not sure that his boss or the dog's owner knows that he has it, but I don't want to get him in trouble at work, nor do I have his boss's contact info anyways. I've tried convincing him to get rid of it, but he is set on his belief that it's totally acceptable, albeit unique thing to have around the apartment. He's unconcerned about whatever biofluid it is floating in, leaking out of the container, and says that I'm exaggerating the issue. It's been a week, and it's just sitting in our living room where I tend to do my own work as I work from home. I hate looking at it. I really, really just want it gone. And I feel like I'm losing my mind every time I look at it. So will I be the jerk if I just threw it out without his permission, especially since he told me that he wants to keep it? And to clarify, since a few people brought it up, it's not currently leaking. I told him that I was worried that it could leak, especially if it fell on the ground. All right, folks, what do you think?
I mean, I generally don't agree with throwing out your partner's possessions, but I don't think this one was lawfully gained. I don't think this is a biohazard potentially. We don't even know what kind of fluid it's in. Some of the preservatives can be very caustic and could be damaging if it were to leak. And so, yeah, I don't see any problem with disposing of it in this particular case, and I'm concerned. I know OP doesn't want to report him to the hospital, but it sounds like he is taking things he's not supposed to take, and that is a concern.
Yeah, him taking things that he's not supposed to take is a pretty big concern here. I think that OP might have a sit down and discussion with him and say, look, I don't want to report you to the hospital, but if you keep bringing home stuff from the hospital, I don't want to get in trouble when the police raid our house because somebody reported you for stealing things from the hospital, right? Because that's not far fetched from what could happen, right? Maybe it's unlikely, but like, yeah, he starts off with a tick. Probably no one's going to report a tick, but he's moving up to bigger items, it kind of seems like. So to the point where now he's brought home this, dog scrotum, which I think is a very odd choice, to say
Mm-hmm.
the least, right? It certainly is a conversation starter. It has started conversations.
Yeah.
I'll give it that much. But the thing is, again, is this moral? Is this ethical for him to have this? If he's this interested in these kinds of things, then maybe he needs to work in a bio lab, right? But this is a biological hazard,
Mm-hmm.
right? And being a biological hazard, it could do actual damage if it got out of its containment, right? And if it's something like formaldehyde and that spills everywhere, formaldehyde is a caustic substance, right? And he needs to understand that there are risks associated with being exposed to chemicals like these. So I think that OP needs to sit down and explain exactly those kinds of concerns and say, this isn't safe for you to have. And I don't feel safe with you having it in the house. It doesn't matter if the chances of it spilling out are 1 in a million. I don't want to take a 1 in a million chance of being exposed to some biological hazard.
Yeah.
So, and I think like OP should make a ultimatum at this point in time that if he brings any more stuff home from the animal hospital, that this is a deal breaker for them.
Yeah, that was something I was going to bring up too, is that this has to stop. He can't keep taking these things and bringing them home, and it's not okay for him to go behind people's back and do this. Like, it sounds like this was supposed to be disposed of, and he decided to just take it anyway.
Yeah.
And it's not like it's a useful item, it's a biohazard.
Yeah. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. All right, folks, it is tea time. Grab your beverages of choice. I've got some tea right here, and Amber, she has a joke.
What did the astronauts say to their paramour?
They said, let's blast off together. There are some sparks flying.
I'm over the moon about you.
Ooh.
And today is Lunar New Year. It is the year of the snake.
Well, happy Lunar New Year to everyone who celebrates that. And I have Mega Mint.
I would say Happy New Year in Chinese, but my pronunciations are terrible, so.
Here, go for it.
I'm so bad, though.
Well, I mean, no one will be able to question whether or not it's bad, probably.
I don't know the tones. Okay, so I'm going to butcher this completely, but it's Xin Nian Kuai Le.
So happy Lunar New Year. All right, folks, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for watching. Happy, wonderful Wednesday, folks. Hump Day, Friday, Junior's Eve. And folks, we have a live stream coming up on Friday. We hope to see you then. Amber, we need some kind of moral advice and or guidance, and please have it on finances and bringing stuff home and that kind of stuff in relationships.
In relationships, when making major purchases or bringing home biohazards, there needs to be some kind of communication and agreement between the partners.
Yes. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you all tomorrow.
Bye!